I started at sports at Global in 1981. I got fired from radio, and they sold the company was sold by Foster Hewitt to Telemedia, and the first thing they did was get rid of me. And after a period of time, I got an offer from Global, and it was to do a horse racing show. And I went in and I talked to them, and I said, look, I don't really want to do a horse racing show, but I'll do a general sports show if you want. I'll do a half hour every night. Now, this was ESPN had just started, I think. And I hadn't seen ESPN, but I knew that they were doing half hour sportscasts on that channel. TSN didn't exist, and Sportsnet didn't exist. But I said, look, I'll do this if you want. And fortunately, they said yes. So we started Sportsline in 1981. I did from 11:30 to 12 o'clock every night, and we had nothing to fall back on, nothing to look at and see what other people were doing. We had to make it up all by ourselves. So I think we did a pretty good job. We got a big audience. We had over 1 million people a night, and advertising was full. The breweries competed against each other for sponsorship. So it worked out well.
Yeah, so we have a clip here from a show you did in June of 1982, I believe. Let's roll that, Vic. Yeah.
The city of St. Catharines is outraged, not because of high unemployment, high taxes, high interest rates, but because they may be on the verge of losing a hockey team they never really had. Tonight on Sportsline, we'll give you the developments that led up to this story and meet the one-man ringleader who's trying to change some minds any way he can. We'll also take a look at the World Cup and how international sporting events can be reduced to political battles. We'll show you this year's American League Baseball All-Stars as announced tonight. Latest on the Argos as they prepare for their opener on Thursday. And the Blizzard as they get ready for the Montreal Manic. All the scores, horse racing, and more. It's all to come in the next 30 minutes here on Sportsline.
You know, it's funny when I was watching, I was thinking to myself, Bob sounds a little bit like a young Bob Costas, and I remember coming to Toronto for a job interview. Yeah. In April of 1984, I came to Toronto for a job interview, and I remember turning on Sportsline and Global and watching your show. I couldn't believe that you guys had a half an hour to fill every night. Did you have enough? Material?
Oh yeah, every night. Oh yeah, it was no problem whatsoever. Now, the Costas reference is interesting because at one point while I was at Global, I got offered a job. Well, to apply for a job at NBC. Brian Gumbel went to the Today Show. He left NFL Today, went to the Today Show, and so they needed a host for that. So I had an agent in the U.S. and he put my name in. I guess there were about 1,000 people who applied for the job. Anyway, they got down to 3, and I was one of them. And I don't know who the other third guy was, but I didn't get the job. But the guy who got the job was Bob Costas. That was his first. That's where he really started because he was in St. Louis at KMOX doing local stuff. This was his first national appearance was on that show. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't get the job. I stayed at Global, but at least my name was referenced with Costas. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good. Being a finalist and on the whim of a program director, we might have seen Bob McCown on all those NBC broadcasts instead of Bob Costas, right? It could have.
Yeah, he might have, but he didn't, right?
So tell me, when you look back at that kid Bob from 1982, what are your thoughts?
Well, the weird thing was the beard, right? I was the first guy to have a beard on TV all the time, and I didn't do that for any particular reason. I had a beard, and they said it was okay, so I kept it. My hair was pretty long. I've always had longish hair, I guess, so that wasn't a big deal. But people used to talk about the beard a fair bit.
Well, I suppose if NBC had hired you and they said shave out the beard, you might have done that, right?
For the money, yeah, I would have. You bet it.
Yeah.